All right, folks. Welcome to the Hacked Off Podcast, episode 16, Why Women Deserve Better, and how society destroys their fertility and their beauty and their everything, because apparently we're only allowed to have fat, ugly, tattooed women in the United States of America, while the rest of the world typically does not have that problem. Congratulations, us, I guess. But yeah, fuck that. I'm your host, C.S. Joseph, joined by Yuri Skarzynski, the kahuna himself, who likes to rule our Discord with an iron fist. He's not interested in schlubs. He's not interested in backtalkers, and he's definitely not interested in SD men trying to be these rabble-rousers to rouse the rabble of public opinion to force your hand, which it does. They get forced into, what is that channel?
Shittler's list, yeah.
Shittler's list.
Well, I used to say I rule with an iron but fair fist, but now it's, or iron fist and velvet glove. But
Yeah.
I've removed the glove. It's just an iron fist now.
Yeah, there's no glove anymore. It's over. Like,
Nope.
yeah, anti-schlubbery everywhere we go. But yes, join our Discord so you can talk to us. That'd be awesome. Discord.gg/ego hackers. Okay. And then also, if you want to contact us directly, check out our Linktree links. They are below in the description, as always. And we are also sponsored by the CS Joseph YouTube channel. And if you want to become a paid member so that you can understand if you are unconscious developed or subconscious developed as a man or a woman, because your gender definitely affects your psyche, you can do that at skool.com/CS Joseph. That's SKOOL.com/CS Joseph. So go ahead and launch the show with your comments, good sir. You have Eshak, I think.
Yeah,
And then also
I just had it.
Pump the Brakes guy. Whoever the Pump the Brakes man is.
Yeah, that's Retro Refresher 1907. Thank you for helping me pump the brakes on some of the misconceptions that I had. My situation is similar to Zach and Seven's. I am 20 and living with my parents. I was also thinking about leaving home and living out of my car. In fact, I've been sleeping out of it for the past 3 days just to get the feel for it. I'm also learning bushcraft skills, like making a fire in rainy conditions, building a shelter, learning how to trap, etc. But these are just side points. Key takeaway is that I am improving myself and fleshing out what it means to become a man. But anyways, as I am doing this, I consciously began to get very judgmental towards my father since he is becoming more and more weak in my eyes. But I am a hypocrite for saying this. Who am I to judge? Anyways, I was headed down the path of outright cutting ties, perhaps silently burning the bridge and living out of my car. Basically theorizing potential futures that would not be in accordance with honor thy father and mother. This episode was very sombering and helped me realize the hubris and pride I've been operating in for the past few months and how delusional my thinking had become in regards to this topic. Needless to say, I'll still be focused on improving myself, but I won't be burning any bridges with my parents in the process. I just want to share this since I'm sure there are plenty of other male Gen Zers out there who are in a similar situation.
Yeah, don't be like me. Don't burn bridges with your parents, even if they're in the wrong. You just gotta understand. Think about it from this perspective. If you're the fucking firstborn, right? If you're the firstborn son, you gotta understand. Your parents are going to make all of the mistakes on you. This is why the firstborn is actually supposed to be treated with higher honor, and that's why the firstborn is supposed to get all of the inheritance or the majority of the inheritance. And it's literally for that reason, because your parents are going to make all of your mistakes on you. The problem, and that's why all of your other siblings have it easier, because they're going to make less mistakes. And that's why the baby of the family has it the easiest, because the parents are kind of experts at parents by that point. You see what I'm saying, folks? So but the firstborn has it the hardest. And oftentimes, parents just don't understand that. But it does not change the fact that you are commanded to honor thy mother and father, which means show them respect. That is what honor basically means. Don't be like me and do the opposite of that and violate God's commands and be an absolute fucking idiot and disrespectful moron when it comes to how I've treated my parents. So don't do that. So get away from that as much as possible. Don't be like me. Learn from the benefit of my stupidity. Yes, thank you very much.
Also, you never know when your last interaction with your parents is going to happen.
That's true.
What if you cut them off for some stupid reason and then, God forbid, they die?
Yeah.
And then now you never get the chance again to reconcile with them.
That would be terrible.
And you'd feel like a piece of shit for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
So consider that, and you better have, like we said the last time, have a good reason if you're going to be cutting anyone off.
Very, very good reason. Yeah, I mean, sometimes it makes sense, but when it comes to your parents, You gotta recognize that they're human too, and chances are, if you're the firstborn, you're probably gonna be the one that's the most aggravated about like what's going on, especially if you're a firstborn son, because the firstborns, especially in this culture, get completely fucked over in general anyway, and that's just kind of as a result of boomerism when it comes to like older generations. They just like firstborns just there's just no honor there, but just because there is no honor does not mean you can start dishonoring them. So don't do that. Don't act like me at all. What's next, good sir?
We have a comment from this SD loser. Society will scapegoat you. It's just depressing. So I guess he doesn't like that we're pinning the blame on men, even though where men lead, women follow. If you want women's behavior to improve, start with yourself
It's not
first.
that you're scapegoating. It's that society is actually laying the responsibility where it's supposed to be. Like, again, this is the whole argument. It's like, oh, well, it's not my fault, therefore it's not my responsibility. I remember, like, echoing that constantly in my 20s. That was, like, literally part of my personal philosophy. And it's just like, no, you're going to be held responsible for things that you should be responsible for, regardless if it's your fault or not. And guess what? Society's going to do that to you. So get used to it. Get over it. Okay? Like all these pussy maxers, all these men that put pussy on like a pedestal, they all have that stupid philosophy.
And yeah, we're talking about blame, but that's not even the primary focus. It's the solution.
Yeah,
You can't focus on the solution if you're worried about who's to blame.
exactly.
We can point out who's to blame. It's generally the men.
Yeah.
Not that women are free from all accountability. That's not the point
It's
at all that we're making.
Yes. It's the difference between solipsism and idealism.
But there will be no solutions until men start the solution process. And you can't do that if you're like, oh my God, I'm being scapegoated.
Yeah, because I'm solipsistic little bitch and I'm really entitled and shit. Versus, the idealistic man is like, yep, I'm going to suck it up and I'm going to take responsibility for things that I never did. And it's just like, yeah, come on, where's your fucking idealism? Like, idealism is proof of masculinity. Where the fuck is it? Like, seriously, where the fuck is it? Like, stop being, like, so entitled. Stop being entitled to, like, women. Like, you can't. You can't be entitled to women. Women belong to other people. You have to understand, like, in general, like, women are property, okay? They are property. Their virginity is worth $287,000 a year. 50 shekels of silver is the bride price. Of course, you would go to Grok right now or some fucking AI chat GPT, be like, yo, what is the value of 50 shekels of silver? It'll tell you around $1,200 USD. But here's the thing. In those days, the days of the Torah, that was like 3 to 4 years' wages. So then calculate from that perspective and then adjust for inflation, and you get about $287,000 is the value of a woman's virginity.
Also, adjust for the rarity of virgins.
Oh, yeah.
Now compared to then.
Yeah, exactly.
So basically, you multiply that figure by at least 5, maybe
20x,
10.
actually, because it's a 5% in this country versus the virgin rate in those days, I imagine would be above 90%. So, like, and if that's 5%.
Yeah, so we're talking millions of dollars here.
Yeah, that's
not
a lot of money. Yeah, not $1,200 in 287,000. Meh. But yeah, it's like millions of dollars. Like, a wife of noble character is like insanely priceless. The Bible talks about this. Read Proverbs chapter 31. It's very fucking clear. There's also other verses that back that claim up as well. Okay. Because otherwise, a shit wife is a wife that is like, a Chinese water torture, which the Bible also backs up on that one. So you might want to look at that. Like, holy shit, don't act like that. Got another one?
Yeah, we got Ishak. Are there any examples of burdens put on men that shouldn't be?
Yeah. So, for example, when a woman is shirking her female burden of performance, and the female burden of performance is defined by two things, Genesis 3:16, which is you're desirably contrary to your husband, yet he will still rule over you. That's the female burden of submission towards her man. But also, God created woman to be a fit helper for her man, basically. And if she is not helping and she's not being helpful, and if she is the helpee instead of the helper in her marriage, she is automatically a shit woman. Guess what? It's the same thing, even if she has that relationship to her father. It is the daughter's job to be helpful towards her father. And if she is not helpful towards her father, major red flag. I mean, that's like sex-only category status, like right there, like immediately. Like why would you even do that? Like, no. And again, that's a form of dishonoring your mother and father. And even though women dishonor their mother, like women actually dishonor their mother and father like consistently, and in my opinion, they probably do it way more than sons do. Because think about like just the fact that like most women aren't virgins anyway, and the fact that they aren't virgins is like by default dishonoring their father, especially when you come into give consideration in Numbers chapter 30 in the Torah. Like what the fuck? Like stop doing that. So yeah, just fuck that bullshit. All right.
Got another dumb one
Oh,
from
yeah?
NobaFan7515. I'll remember this the next time I see a young man unable to find a job when the company uses DEI hiring as an excuse not to hire any young men for decades, or when men get falsely accused by women that it was actually men's fault that men are struggling in society.
Learn a fucking foreign language and fucking leave the area and go work somewhere else.
No one's coming to save you.
like holy shit.
Oh no, men are struggling. Okay, what do you want us to do about it? Give you
Yeah.
like an attaboy for your struggle? It's still your burden of performance to get over it. I don't care how bad it is for you anyway. It's not like we live in like the medieval times where you could die of like the plague. Like,
Yeah.
obviously there's pros and cons to like the current society we live in, and that it's harder to be a man in some ways than others, but every generation has their struggle. This is yours, get over it. Also, like,
Yeah, it's nice that you're not gonna
there's
get
no such
robbed when
thing
you're
as
walking
like
down the
using
street.
DEI as an excuse. Like, if you're a man, you can get a job. I don't want to hear that, oh, they're only hiring women. Like, there's plenty of men out there working jobs, and even if you can't work a job, you can start a business. I have a friend.
job that a woman doesn't want to work. Huh? Did you think about that? Be a fucking roughneck. Join the military.
Yeah, go be a lineman.
Be a lineman.
Go be a garbage truck driver.
I'd be happy to be a
are
lineman.
you are you too sensitive to do that though? Are you going to chip a nail? Like, give me a break. There's no DEI program for garbage truck drivers, are there? Or construction workers? Like, last time I checked, I don't think that's a thing.
No.
Maybe this guy wants to be the sign holder though.
Oh, the sign
Maybe
holder.
maybe
yeah,
that
yeah.
would,
I mean,
would be
I see girls
there might be
doing
a
the
quota
sign
for
holder.
that. Yeah.
Like, holy
well,
shit.
that's what he would want to do since he is
fucking
weak.
bullshit, dude.
Um,
But hey, he wants to virtue signal his weakness.
he is like, oh, we're struggling. Like, I don't care. Men are supposed to struggle. Like, where did
Yeah.
you think that you weren't supposed to struggle as a man? Like, what?
Oh, maybe that's why. Oh, maybe he's going to transition and go trans soon, so he doesn't have to struggle.
Yeah,
as
well, at
much.
least he's out of the gene pool. Like, thank you for that.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Benefits.
Yeah, I have a friend who moved here with a wife and kid,
Yeah.
and he didn't have a job lined up. He had no money. He just moved here, spent all his money moving in. Day one, he got a job. He got laid off, I think, a few months later. And rather than like, oh no, I'm struggling. Oh, someone help me. Someone bail me out. He actually went and started his own business immediately. He bought like $200 worth of stuff from Home Depot and started pressure washing. You go door to door and knock on people's doors and say, hey, do you need this done? He was making just as much money from that as his job almost instantly. So I don't want to hear that, oh, no one's hiring. Like, that's such a bullshit excuse. Like,
Yeah.
fuck you.
Yeah, like actually, like have a fucking skill.
By the way, that guy's SD, and he did all that.
Oh yeah, he is SD. I met him. That's true. You know what's interesting about that? It doesn't take much thinking for you to get a fucking lawnmower and actually like mow lawns. It's not hard. You do something. Do something. Something of value. Like actually give value. What the fuck are you doing? You're trying to extract value everywhere, just like you're trying to extract value from women, and then all of a sudden we have this fucking SD society that are destroying women, and literally everywhere I look, I see another fat, ugly, tattooed bitch, and I'm supposed to be attracted to her. Like, because someone like you fucking schlub, like someone like you exists, making society worse because you're so fucking entitled that you can't even get any fucking work done. Why don't you go to like go become like a fucking volunteer firefighter or something, okay? Like learn how to swing a fucking axe. Oh, my white collar jobs. Dude, you do realize like AI is here, right? You think white collar jobs are going to be around for very much longer? Come on, dude. Like holy shit. Like get your shit together. Like stop being like a fucking problem, okay? I mean, you may as well be transgender at this point because clearly you're hacked off. Okay? Like I don't know about you, but like the idea of like going out and doing wildland firefighting, like, I don't know, it gets me hard because I'm just like, fuck yeah, I get to swing this big ass fucking axe. I get to down trees and shit.
No, they're
I
only
get to
hiring
save
women.
lives. Oh, yeah,
You
they're
didn't-
only
you didn't
hiring
get the-
women?
you didn't get the memo
okay.
on that,
Yeah,
yeah.
I didn't get the memo. Yeah, okay, well, apparently we have an army of our helpers out there, you know, in the wildlands trying to keep us safe from the fire so that, you know, you can be in your mother's basement playing Xbox and not giving a flying fuck about what is actually going on. Holy shit. Like, great.
Yeah, and last time I checked, the military is always hiring too.
Yeah.
So another, like, yeah, there's like 1,000 reasons why we could take your excuses away. Just shut up.
I actually told a guy who was in my DMs recently, he's like, I don't know what to do with my life. I don't know what to do. And I'm like, look, man, you're becoming a nurse practitioner. That's all nice and cool and shit. Just go join the fucking military.
You can be a nurse in the military.
You can be a nurse in the military, yeah.
They'll train you, and you
I'm
get
like,
out, you have your GI Bill.
And you have your RN. I imagine that would mean that you're probably going to have really good consideration for being an officer and getting paid very fucking well immediately. And then guess what? You can educate all of the other people, all the medics.
You
and
can
shit.
join the military, become like the equivalent of a nurse in the military, use the military's tuition assistance program, get a degree while you're in, and then become an officer while you're in.
Yeah, bitching.
But I guess that's too much of a struggle. Like, it should just be easy to do that.
Yeah, well, okay, let's just shark struggle.
I don't care about
go.
males struggling. I care about women and children struggling.
Yeah, exactly.
That's it.
Yeah,
Like,
that's it.
This guy needs to understand that no one cares about your suffering. No one is coming to save you ever.
Yeah, like.
And that's a good thing, by the way.
Dude, we had this friend, this friend who's no longer a friend, actually, tell us, like, oh, why aren't you always, telling us all about your problems and shit? And I'm like, one, I want to try to protect you guys from my problems. The other thing is, it's none of your fucking business. And the other thing is, too, is like, it's not like you guys could do anything or even fucking, like who fucking cares? It's my fucking deal. Like it has nothing to do with you. What are you guys? Oh, but I want to be like all about bonding and kumbaya and all this bullshit.
No, that's how women bond through talking, men bond through action.
Exactly.
So unless there's something that they can provide that would help you with an outcome, then what is the point of even talking about it?
What is the point? There's no
nothing.
Point.
It's just venting.
Yeah, we're just
about
there,
nothing.
We're just standing there like sniffing each other's butts. Apparently, that's all it is. I'm not down for butt sniffing anymore. Like, fuck that. Like, what are we fucking doing? Men do, women talk, men do. What are we doing?
Or men talk about doing.
Yeah.
We don't talk about nothing. We got Boris Vandruff, 7532. How can UDUF men forsake the harmonious trap? I'm getting sick of being harmonious at my own expense.
Okay, well, get over fear of rejection and fear of being a creep in terms of other men in your life, because if you're having those fears, it's going to dominate your relationship with other men, and then you're going to miss out on opportunities to be sharpened by those other men. It's literally just be around men.
And not the SD men, though, because they'll keep you harmonious. They don't like it when you act authentically, so they're going to keep you there. So you're better off being alone.
Go to a fucking bar, dude. Order a drink or smoke or something. Get access to male space, true male space. But, I mean, I get it. What, are you a pastor in church, or you're some mega Christian, or maybe you're a deacon, or maybe you're an elder in church? I don't give a flying fuck. Oh, I can't be seated at a bar. Okay, well, you know what? Sometimes I preach the kingdom of God. Sometimes I preach the gospel, and I'm in a fucking bar all the time. Who are you to actually have that perspective? Last I checked, Jesus was criticized for eating with tax collectors and sinners. So, I mean, I guarantee you'd probably see Jesus at a fucking bar. Like holy shit. Like, let's let go of this bullshit and actually, like, get in there. Get into proper male space. It doesn't matter if they're unbelievers. It doesn't matter. They're going to hold you accountable for your shit. You just need to be fucking real, because that male culture is real. But that male culture ended up getting sabotaged, especially by society, because we can't even smoke indoors anymore. You see what I'm saying? Like, and you all virtue signal that. You all virtue signal how great that is. No, it's shitty. Especially because of aromatase, which we'll be talking about later in this fucking show, which nicotine counteracts. Come on. Pay attention. Yeah, you got anything else?
Yeah, also, if you're actually UD and you have had your rite of passage, you are entitled as a man to act authentically.
You are, yeah.
So if anyone gets in the way of that, you have to shut that down. But that's the whole point of being stuck in harmony hell, is they have trouble with that. So you just have to get away from shit people. They're going to try to force harmony upon you. And you have to be able to recognize when that's happening and catch it on the spot. So that's all I'd have to add to that. I think that's it for comments, too.
The best men out there, the UDSF men, the top 4% of men, at their wisest, they understand when it is appropriate to be harmonious and when it is not appropriate to be harmonious, when it is appropriate to be authentic, when it is not appropriate to be authentic. Those 4 things, okay? And it really is those 4 things, gentlemen. And the thing is that, like, you have no excuse. But in general, you need to be your authentic self, because women and children are scared shitless that they never know where you stand. And it's actually the number one way to harm women and children, is if they don't know where you stand.
It harms other men, too. Even we get harmed by that. Because,
that's true.
If a man is like UDPM or UDUF and he is like so harmonious even around us, to the point where we don't even know where we stand with him, that's a problem for us as well.
Yeah.
And it's hard to get out of UDUF as a man anyway. You actually need other men to do that. So stop being a burden on those men while they're trying to get you out of it. Because it is an undertaking to have a bunch of UDP guys around and have to babysit them into UDJ. Like you had to do that with me at one point. And I'm sure that was like a pain to deal with,
Well, yeah. I mean,
at least for a
the
time.
the thing is though is that like all that had to happen was just to help you see how you're in the midst of a bunch of schlubs and you need to get the fuck away from those people. And then once they're out of the environment that you're in and the environment's nice and clean, then your ego has like, I could stretch out my own fucking environment. Fuck you people. And no, I don't want to let anyone else back in.
Yep,
You
pretty
know what
much.
I mean? That's kind of like how it went. Speaking of ego, so Caveman, all right. So Caveman, he has this thing. He's a womanizer. He's a local womanizer. He gave this story about like how he had to break up with a girl because she was coming off of birth control to the point where he literally told her that, hey, you're coming out. I need you to get off birth control because I need to see who you really are off of birth control. And after 2 weeks, like if you change whatever, I'm breaking up with you. Like he immediately told her that.
He also said that if she doesn't like the way he smells during those 2 weeks, then he's going to get rid of her just for that.
Just for that.
Yeah, because apparently, like women, like they can just your scent, like your pheromones, they interpret that differently whether they're on birth control or not.
Oh,
So
dang.
suddenly, a guy they find attractive on birth control, just his scent could turn them off alone, in addition to the behavior.
Yeah. See, the thing about birth control is that what a lot of people don't realize, and a lot of the show is about birth control today, folks, is that birth control actually causes something called cognitive transition inside of women. And depending on whether or not they're UD or SD, it actually can change their cognitive development. So a woman that would naturally be more explosive because she was raised in a way where she had to earn all of the attention she got, when she's on birth control, she'd be a little bit more mellow and a little bit more implosive. And then when she comes off of the birth control, she ends up becoming more explosive. And then guess what? The same thing is on the other side for the UD girls who are implosive, but then when they're on birth control, they end up more explosive with their emotions, okay? Because birth control definitely fucks with their emotions. Birth control is synthetic progesterone, also known as progestins, and it ends up creating a lot of these health problems in women. And I even come to think like, I wonder how much birth control completely fucked over that woman Lindsey Clancy, who decided to murder her own children, and then she earned $1 million in legal support from all these people. Apparently, I don't even know how real that claim is, but the reality of the situation is reprehensible. This is a woman who actually murdered her own children, which has for some reason become like way more normalized than it ever should be. Which is
Well, why wouldn't it be
disgusting.
if abortion has been normalized?
Exactly. Right? Yeah. That's exactly
it's the slippery slope, so-called fallacy, again proven to be true.
Yeah, proven to be true.
It's like the least fallacy of the fallacies.
It is 100%, and Body Temple loves to remind everybody of that, as they should, because slippery slope is definitely a thing in that direction. But we've already established many times how subconscious. So moving on. So as a result of this birth control thing, you start to end up where you realize that subconscious developed men have led to this SD society, ultimately. And what ends up happening is that subconscious developed men end up sacrificing women for the sake of their comfies and their comfy times. As a result, women are unhealthy, they're ugly, and they're infertile because they're sacrificed in this way. It gets even worse because, like, when you actually consider how men who are subconsciously developed treat their children, they're oftentimes counting down the days of until when, my child is out of the house. You don't live here anymore. You're not a burden on me anymore.
Yeah, they have to pause their Peter Pan syndrome for at least 18 years. And they're like counting down every second from the moment it starts.
It's gotta
just
be
waiting for comfy times to resume again.
We got to have Neverland because Captain Hook is going to show up. Yeah, Captain Hook. Apparently, like, when your daughter gets her period, that's Captain Hook, apparently. We can't have anything to do that. We got to get her on birth control right away so that way, I can continue to shirk my male burden performance and not actually take care of my daughter or her feminine needs. Like, you know that there's those fucking subconscious developed male schlubs out there, okay? These fuckers who are too embarrassed to go buy tampons or maxi pads or any feminine care product at the store. Like, this is a serious problem that I had to deal with like in the days of when I was like 18, 19, and 20, 2005, 2006, 2007, 2008, and I would consistently see men who were out in public and had women, and they absolutely refused to go get feminine care products from the store for them. Whereas I'm like, I don't give a shit. I'm going to walk into this store. I'm going to get what she told me that she needs exactly. And in those days, those were OB tampon little things and I get a box of those, and I buy those things, and I bring them to my woman. Like, who gives a shit? Well, she's at home, writhing in pain and having a serious fucking problem. But apparently, we can't have that. Apparently we can't have that at all, because we need to make sure that, like, our 8-year-old daughters, or because, for some reason, these girls, because of how much of a toxic environment, toxic society that we're dealing with right now, are having their periods sooner. And so because they're having their periods sooner, they need to have, but these SD men see, like, a woman's period as, like, the biggest fucking burden on their life. And they'd rather, just be on birth control, you're having PMS, you're having some bad emotions right now, just be on birth control so I can continue to have my comfy times.
That's their own self-soothing, so they can
Yeah.
go back to their comfy zone, not have to worry about, is my daughter going to get pregnant tonight? Well, maybe she wouldn't if you actually raised her properly up until that point. But were they doing that? No. They're doing the bare minimum.
It's so stupid. They're sacrificing their daughters like consistently. Here's another thing. Like, they're counting down the days, and they're counting down the days until, like, their children are out of the home. Basically, they're waiting very, very much to be the empty nester, and then as a result, women, daughters, are taught to be men, and have no time for beauty. So, like, this actually happened to my wife. So she was raised to be. I want you to be a lawyer. I want you to be a doctor. Like, she was raised to go all in on education, spend all of her fertile years on nothing, ignore her beauty entirely. This led to serious depression that she had in high school, basically, where she sees the other girls getting support for their beauty from their fathers, essentially, and being admired for it and having all that. And she really, really wanted that. What did she feel like?
She just wanted to be raised female.
Yeah, exactly. But she felt like the fat, ugly duckling, okay? And she had to deal that all the time in high school, and it led to some really bad depression. She actually, like my wife is a high school dropout because of that, because of all of that bullshit, because she was forced to ignore her femininity. It was even to the point where at times she would have to actually pretend to study. She'd have to pretend to study, even though, she's made an archetype. That's not who she is psychologically. She is not supposed to be the lawyer. She is not supposed to be the doctor. She's not supposed to be raised to be a fucking man. Maybe her parents should have actually had sons, but they didn't. They had daughters, okay? And so as a result of this, it's a huge, huge fucking problem. And here's the other thing that SD men don't fucking understand, is that when you have daughters are important because daughters give you access to son-in-laws. And son-in-laws are pretty cool because they care about your daughter, they care about you, they're actually willing to help you and do shit for you. That's cool. And that might lead to additional support in your old age if you actually have a good relationship with them. That also leads to grandchildren. Grandchildren are pretty fucking amazing. Grandchildren is like the zenith of existence on planet Earth, let's be honest. But apparently, we can't do that because of our comfy times. There are comfy times that they're doing this to their daughters, and guess what? In their old age, they're not going to be so fucking comfy. And it's annoying. Like, it happens over and over and over. Women are consistently sacrificed by subconscious developed society and subconscious developed men in their own homes, especially by their SD fathers. They have no time for investing in their beauty. They have no time in investing in their ability to care and nurture. They have no time to invest in upkeep and maintaining a home, maintaining a house. They have no time even actually for enjoyment. Why the fuck do you think that when girls like that's the old red pill adage that like all women are losers basically, or all women are dorks because all they do is they go to their 9-to-5 job and they come home and they just watch Netflix. And that's all they have for life. Yeah, probably because in their childhood they had no time for enjoyment because they're too focused on getting a career. You see what I'm saying? And so as a result of that, they don't even know how to enjoy life. And that becomes a serious problem. And that also could even open them up to drug use and substance abuse later, because all of a sudden their brain is getting all that dopamine that they never even were able to have as daughters anyway, as little girls. Like the whole, like being a little girl is completely fucking assaulted by the fact that these subconscious development are sacrificing their own daughters in exchange for their comfy ties, and counting down the days until, oh, we're finally an empty nester. Like, holy shit. I mean, I could kind of see that perspective a little bit with sons, because yeah, sons need to like grow up and actually be personally responsible for their own selves. But why the fuck would you ever do that to your daughter? Like, it's bullshit, dude.
There's another aspect to this too that people don't think about. I mean, the red pillars, all their manosphere, they'll complain that boys are being socialized to be women in schools. Like, oh, the teachers are all female, they don't know how to handle boys, so they put them on Ritalin.
Oh, God.
They acknowledge that half of it, but they don't acknowledge the other half that happens to the women.
Yeah.
They're entirely focused on their side due to male solipsism, the fact that they're subconscious developed men, thinking only about themselves. So it might even be worse for women because,
it is.
like, oh, boys are put on Ritalin, that's horrible.
Yeah.
But there's like a dozen different ways similar to that women are going
The
through.
women are being put on birth control in the same way that the boys are being put on Ritalin, but actually more so. Oh, like if a girl who starts bleeding goes to the doctor's office and even remotely complains about her emotions with PMS or complains about menstrual pain, they're going to put her on birth control. Like that. It's just given out like candy. You know, because a lot of people don't know this. Male doctors especially are subconscious developed, statistically. Like by like 90%, 95%. You won't find an unconscious developed man as a doctor. You just really don't. And here's the problem. They live their comfy times too. Oh, I don't want to have to go. They imagine themselves, oh, if this girl was my daughter, I wouldn't have any peace at home. So I'm going to put her on birth control to try to, control the situation so I can get some fucking peace at home. And it's like, shut the fuck up. You're literally ruining your daughter. What are you doing? Setting her up for fucking breast cancer? You piece of shit. And these are doctors, the Hippocratic Oath. They're a bunch of fake schlubs, dude. Like, how the fuck could anyone actually fucking trust these people? Sure, you have pharmaceutical companies who are investing more in men's health and investing more in men's studies and whatnot, and not as much in women's health and women's studies. Sure, you have that problem. Okay, sure. But the reality situation is it's the fucking doctors. Oh, but they also get a nice pay increase every time they get another girl on birth control. And they imagine themselves that they're helping society because they're just assuming by default that, your daughter is a fucking whore by default. In the same process.
And then all the birth control gets in the water supply, so then everyone's drinking it. It's messing up men's hormones too.
Exactly.
So they're inflicting all that damage on the women and themselves by extension, and their sons. All because they don't want to take any accountability.
Yeah.
And they want to choose the easy way out.
Yeah, like here's the thing. Like let's talk about your daughter not going through that entire thing. Let's talk about you as a man, as a father, you have a daughter, okay? It's your job to make sure that she is as invested in her beauty as possible. Because, like, here's the thing. Women specialize, right? And they specialize in, there's the beauty maxers, there's the care and nurture maxers, there's the upkeep maxers, and they can also, like, they're very creative as well, creativity maxers. And then you have the enjoyment maxers, okay? 4 aspects of what it is to be a woman. Now, each woman specializes in one of those 4 things. But dad ends up generalizing in all things male that he does. And so because of that, it is his job, more so than her mother, to at least create an environment where his daughter is actually able to explore all 4 of those things and be able to somewhat build it somewhat of that in her. And this is called relationship equity. This is relationship investment from the father, okay, to build up his daughter. Why? Well, because in ancient times, virginity in today's money is worth $287,000. He's going to get paid a dowry. He's going to get paid a bride price. Or in some cases, like in the book of Genesis, like Genesis 16 or 17, 14, 15, 16, 17, something around there, all of a sudden Jacob is literally giving 14 years of labor to his uncle so that he can get with his daughters, basically, or at least one daughter in particular. And then that guy screws him and gets and ends up getting an additional 7 years of labor out of him, but he ends up getting both of these 2 sisters that belong to that guy, okay? And, it is in the form of labor, okay? Here's another thing,
And it's like you said earlier, they're outsourcing the labor that would have came from that to their own daughters.
Exactly.
Instead.
It's disgusting. They're destroying femininity, dude. I fucking hate this. Here's another example. Okay, so my wife's father only had 3 daughters, right? Okay, they have no sons. I am the closest thing to a son that these people have. Okay, so I'm their son-in-law. I'm like their actual son-in-law. I'm the closest thing that they have. They don't have a very good relationship with me. I don't have a very good relationship with them. But oh well, I love their daughter. That means if they call me, I'm going to be there. That's the reality of it. If they call me and they need something, I'm there for them. I don't care how much I don't like them. I don't care how much they don't like me. Okay, I love their daughter. You see what I'm saying? Like, that is there. Even to the point where, like, let's say, you know, like my work explodes, everything goes viral, we make a lot of money, blah, blah, blah. You know, what if her dad gets fired? I'll make sure he has a job. What if he needs a retirement? We're going to figure it out. You see what I'm saying? That is the value of actually having a son-in-law. Okay? But apparently all these fucks don't give a shit about that. They don't want to take any fucking responsibility.
Well, they feel entitled to that just from their daughter instead, who's the least person likely to actually give them that in their old age.
Exactly.
Because she's not going to have that unconditional support of them because it's not her burden to begin with.
Yes.
But it could be their son-in-laws if they actually raise their daughter well enough to attract a son-in-law who could provide those things for them, which should be what they're focusing on anyway.
Yeah, you got to get the absolute best son-in-law. This is why the Bible is so like clear that dad has to give permission because, well, as I said in the last episode, women do not have the biblical right to consent to sex. Only their father has the right to consent on her behalf when she is given away in marriage. That is how it works, okay? So when you have that point of view, why is it necessary? Because women age like milk. Men age like wine, okay? It's about this milk versus wine model. And, you know, and the reality of the situation, even though, like, we've had women complain to us recently about how it feels bad that they lose value as they age and as they fuck, basically. The more men they fuck, they lose value. The more they age, they lose value. They're losing value all the time. And a woman has to be trained on how to preserve value. She is supposed to have her childhood to be there to help her learn the skills to preserve her value. But subconscious developed dad is expecting her to get a fucking career so that she can build value as if she's a fucking man. Instead of building up his daughter to be as valuable of a virgin as possible, as beautiful as a virgin as possible, as nurturing as a mother as possible, as a wise, performative, creative matron as she could be, and ultimately an excellent consort and lover-like enjoyment person where she can enjoy life and bring enjoyment to her husband, which would lead to them having more children, and then the man is actually building a legacy. But these subconscious developed fucks want to rest on their laurels. They don't want no fucking legacy. They don't want any fucking responsibility for it, and I'm absolutely fucking tired of it. It is absolute bullshit. And they are literally abusing their own daughters. They are harming them. And their daughters don't even have the skill to preserve their actual value. They don't have the skill to preserve their femininity because they've wasted it. And they, you know what, this even happens to them physically because they've basically spent all of their fertile years on an education that doesn't matter, working a career that they don't care about, and then ending up in sex-only category where no man is willing to commit to them because they don't even have the skills of what it takes to be a woman to begin with, which includes preserving her value, which includes, you know, like domestic things. Like it's not fucking hard. And subconscious developed dad is setting them up for failure consistently. It is disgusting. They don't even protect them from their virginity because all of a sudden these girls are getting birth control like candy. And then it's like, well, I'm already on birth control. I'm already treated like the doctor as if I'm going to be a whore anyway. Because what do you think girls think about when they're put on birth control? It's like, oh, I'm obviously a virgin, but now I'm on birth control. And if I have sex, nothing's going to happen. Okay. And, you know, the doctor just said, well, you know, it's important to have your daughter on birth control anyway because it prevents pregnancy. So clearly he's assuming I'm a hoe. And so I may as well just be a hoe because society is assuming that I'm going to be a hoe anyway, so I may as well. Oh, wait, that's exactly what Railgun told me.
So what they're basically doing is saying, we're going to take away accountability for the consequences of your actions. In other words, go be a hoe.
Yeah.
And then we're going to blame you for being an unaccountable woman afterwards.
Yes.
And say, women don't take any accountability. It's like, well, you enable them to not take accountability.
Yeah, and the
through
SD
exactly like stuff like this.
The SD doctors, because they're SD men themselves.
And the fathers, too, like you said, encourage the fathers putting their own daughters on birth control.
Yeah, they do. And it's...
Which is just telling them, hey, daughter, here's a free pass to go be a hoe with absolutely nothing, no consequence.
One of the biggest problems about
or
SD...
no apparent consequence.
Yeah, and they're like, I may as well just have sex. And then what this ends up doing is creating a psychological situation where the daughters themselves don't actually value their own $287,000 virginity.
Yeah, they're being basically
Like-
told through the actions of their fathers not to care about it.
Exactly.
Because they're too clueless and asleep at the wheel to
Because
understand the
their
value
virginity
of
is
that
treated
themselves.
cheaply by dad, okay? Because here's the thing. Well, what if it was my mom that was pushing birth control on me? But dad was silent about it. That's silent approval. He's a piece of shit. I don't want to hear it. Like, no. Okay, the Bible talks about male silent approval. Read Numbers chapter 30, okay? Like, silent approval is a fucking thing. And even the Bible's aware of subconscious development shitlery, okay? It's bullshit. Here's the thing, though. When it comes to these men, and because of these effeminate men, what we would call maybe feminist men, they're not feminist men, they're effeminate men. These effeminate men, they treat their daughter's virginity as if it's fucking cheap, and it ain't. It ain't cheap. It's the most valuable fucking thing that they actually have. And then as a result of that, they're also shirking the whole idea that sexuality is a woman's only agency because they believe to themselves that, oh, all genders are equal. The reason why those men believe that gender equality, because that is their excuse they use to shirk their male burden of performance. It is their excuse. If everything is equal, that means I don't have to work as hard.
Yeah,
But because everything is equal, women have to work harder, idiots.
And they can put their wife to work so they can stay home in their man cave.
Yeah, and play their video games and their World
Let's
of
put the
Warcrafts.
daughters to work. Let's put the wives to work. Everyone to work, just so these subconscious developed men can get an extra couple hours of video game time.
This is who I was. That was me. Don't be like me in my 20s. Ugh.
Everything has
Disgusting.
to revolve around their Peter Pan syndrome. Everything has to conform to
Yep.
it. And then they have the audacity to say that women are the selfish ones and women are the ones lacking accountability. Where's your accountability for that? That is the root of the problem, causing further damage.
This is why I don't want to go to church, because church is filled like to the brim with, if there's men in church, they all act like that. All of them, including the pastor. They're disgusting. I can't go to church. I fucking hate going to church because that's all there is. The subconscious developed bullshit where they treat women in this way. I fucking can't deal with it. Sexuality is a woman's only agency. And all you churchgoers who disagree, guess what? Jesus literally said, if you divorce your wife, you have just turned her into an adulteress. By default, that Bible verse in the gospel, Jesus said it, basically proves that sexuality is a woman's only actual agency. Why do you think women are, when they're trying to do the protests or whatever on the picket line, they're topless and showing their tits everywhere? Because it's the only way they get any fucking attention. That's why sexuality is a woman's only agency. There's even additional proof of this. You look at Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Women take basic needs for granted. You know, food, water, heat, shelter, those things, the basic needs, the bottom of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Men don't take that for granted.
At least they're not supposed to, yeah. Unless they're flood sport.
Well, yeah, unless there's, flood sport. Like, fuck that. Because he's acting like a woman. Effeminate men do take basic needs for granted. That's the fucking problem. And guess what? Dad is doing that too. So it's like, oh, because you're my daughter, I'm going to raise you like a son so that, you're not taking basic needs for granted, so I can continue to take basic needs for granted for my comfy times. And I'm going to put you on birth control and treat you like you're a fucking whore already because you're on fucking birth control. I'm sorry, but birth control is a sin. Birth control directly violates the very first commandment that God gave humanity, which is be fruitful, which means fuck, and multiply, have children, okay? And last I checked, sex leads to children. So birth control completely flies in the face of God's command. Birth control is sin. Don't fucking do it, okay? And you fathers out there should fucking understand that. It's not hard. You should be telling your girls, don't fucking do it. And here's the thing. And at least to men being, and here's this other concept. When you look at the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, men are consistently seen as success objects and women are seen as sex objects because we are. That's how it's supposed to be.
And these manosphere schlubs will again complain about that. Like, oh, women just see me as an ATM. Women just see me as a utility. It's like, well,
duh.
You are a utility.
No shit.
Be a better one.
Yeah, be a better one. Just safety net. You're supposed to be the fucking safety net. That means if you're a successful safety net, you're the success object, you piece of shit. Grow the fuck up.
And the same men,
God damn it.
And the same men complaining about being seen as utilities are the first ones to say, oh, women are just only good for sex.
Yeah,
and that's not what we're saying. We're not saying.
We're not saying that at all.
They mean it in the form of spinning plates.
Exactly.
We mean it in the form of family creation.
Yeah, like fathers, you need to understand this with your daughters. Women have it so fucking bad, literally because of just this concept. And when we went through like gender dynamics and and dating and how bad relationships have it, with women in the last episode, but in this particular episode, like holy shit, you dads out there, you need to fucking understand. You gotta understand what women are facing in this area, because otherwise, you have to just understand that your daughter, I'm sorry, will always be seen as a sex object. Fucking accept it. There's no such thing as gender equality. And these SD men who are complaining or using gender equality to shirk their burden of performance as men, what they end up doing, it's like, and they complain about being a success object and women being sex objects, and it's like, well, hold on. If you're complaining about being an ATM, you're invalidating your argument about gender equality to begin with, you piece of shit. You fucking hypocrite. Who the fuck do these people think they are?
And again, they only see it from one perspective. Like they'll claim that, women aren't homemakers anymore, so that gives me justification to just spin plates, because all they're good for is just hooking up. Because if I marry them, they're not going to know how to do the dishes. They're going to be boss babes. They're not going to want to be submissive.
Their actual bloodline is responsible for that.
And they're doing the same thing, just in their version of it as men, by not wanting to be the ATM. It's like you as a man not wanting to be a success object is the same criticism that you're levying against women when you say that, they're only good for sex and not being actual wives. Well, you guys aren't good for being actual husbands because you don't want to be a success object.
Yes. So what this ends up doing is this widely creates setting women up for failure, okay, in like literally every area of their life. Setting women up for failure. Why, when sexuality is a woman's only agency, here's the thing, like men look at women and they're beautiful, right? Women like having sex, or men like having sex with beautiful women. Why? Because a beautiful woman is proof that the baby produced from that sexual interaction is going to actually be healthy and not a burden on the man. We have sex with women because we're trying the car out that we're going to be putting the engine into. It's literally the whole point of it, okay?
Yeah, you're not supposed to just endlessly test drive for your entire life.
It's
so stupid.
It's stupid, it's disgusting, and the more you test drive a car, the more fucking miles are on it. I mean, holy shit. It's losing value. And women are set up for failure because their dads are putting them in this education situation. They're putting them on birth control and not giving them the opportunity to actually preserve their beauty or develop their beauty as they're growing from girls into women, where they develop their beauty and then they don't have the skills to maintain or preserve their beauty throughout their life. And these women make decisions based on emotions anyway, not actual rationale or logic. So even though they get the careers, they're more likely to fail at the career that they get, especially careers that are more male-centric, right, that require decision-making. And also because of that, because these women are more likely to be ugly, this is why subconscious developed women wear makeup more often than unconscious developed women, because unconscious developed women have their natural beauty, and they did get that attention from dad as a child, and they do have the skills to preserve their beauty in general, compared to subconscious developed women who have to work all the time and be these career boss babes. That's why they wear so much more makeup, because they have no fucking clue how to actually maintain their health anyway, because they're having their fucking coffees in the morning, their caffeines, their birth control, their toxic clothing, the microplastics. They gotta be these career girls. They gotta bring in that money or whatever, so that dad can have his comfy times forever. Holy shit! So as a result of that, your daughter is basically in sex-only category, where she will be victimized by men in general, especially these subconscious developed schlubs. Okay, victimized by men and taken advantage of and run through, where they have, triple-digit body counts, double-digit, triple-digit body counts of so many men having been inside your daughter, and your daughter's basically life is entirely ruined. On top of single motherhood, on top of your grandchildren being harmed regularly. Like, who the fuck do you think you are doing this to people? You wicked piece of shit. Who the fuck, wow. Why isn't CPS rounding you fucks up? Like, seriously. Holy shit, dude. Like, I just don't get it. So, because if a woman is not beautiful, she ain't going to get commitment. She's going to be in sex only category.
And freezing her eggs is not going to fix that either.
No.
Men don't, they don't go for that. They still want, we're hardwired for the youth and fertility.
Yep.
That's why we said in the last podcast, it's that women have a shorter time frame to figure this stuff out. A lot of these lessons take years to figure out.
They can't figure it out, though. They have the emotional decision-making problem. It has to be figured out with dad. Mom ain't going to do shit. Mom's probably still, also in a deficit herself with these problems, by the way, because this goes back 4 fucking generations, back to World War II, okay? And so because of that, there's no female support. There's no female support there. We're going to talk a little bit more about why there isn't female support. We'll get there. But the whole point is that, if you're not a beautiful woman, if you don't have physical attractiveness, okay, you're not getting commitment. I'm sorry. You're sex only category. And if you do get commitment, it's from a complete fucking loser who is actually using you more so. He just wants to rest on his laurels. He just wants his comfy times. He's got to play video games at night, you know? He's got to have his World of Warcraft, he's got to have his League of Legends, he's got to have he's got to have his Xbox, holy shit.
And he just wants to test drive the car. He doesn't want to
Yeah.
change the oil, he doesn't want to take care of it, he doesn't want to wash it.
Yeah.
He just wants to drive it off the lot with no strings attached and then drive it back on the lot and then go back to comfy times. And women think just because the man drives the car off the lot, that means he wants to keep it. Women think every test driver wants to actually buy the car.
Yeah.
And they don't.
That ain't true. That ain't true. This is why you got to teach your daughters no test driving. Buying only. No test driving. No test driving. Ever. Ever one time. No condoms, no birth control, none of that shit. All of that is sinful. Don't fucking do it. Okay? I say that as a hypocrite, by the way. Seriously. I'm not interested in being a degenerate. So it gets even worse. SE society, because this gender equality bullshit, guess what? They still don't invest in women's health anyway. They really don't. And it loves comfort. And as a result, as we discussed, birth controls ended up handed out like candy. SD men don't have patience for women's health in general. They're not going to go to the store and buy tampons. They're just not going to do that. And guess what? When your daughter is on birth control and their brain is still developing with all those extra hormones in their system, guess what happens? Cognitive transition. And so they end up building neural pathways in their brain where they shouldn't. Such that if they actually come off of birth control after they've been married, all of a sudden they start acting like a completely different person mentally. And that could actually lead to divorce. That could lead to some serious problems. And then all of a sudden your daughter has to be an adulteress because she has to get with another man to survive, because sexuality is the only agency a woman actually has. And they're actually miserable when they're living alone and, they're miserable. They're living alone, being the cat mom and the dog mom because you set them up for failure, you piece of shit. And those women also say, oh, well, thank God, at least I don't have to be around that fucking schlub who has to have his man cave where I take care of the kids and my job and be a breadwinner and do all this shit on my own. And he wants to be some fucking stay-at-home dad and shit. I actually met someone like that recently. Really pissed me off. Gave him a copy of Norm Mr. Nice Guy and said, bro, you need to fucking grow the fuck up. Except he's really old. And that was sad. That was sad to me. I give out that book constantly. And it's just like they're being set up for failure, psychologically speaking. It leads to breakups, and also it destroys their health, okay? Here's another thing. You put your daughters on birth control, they're going to start having secret sexual relationships behind your back. I actually had a friend of mine in town who actually had to deal with that directly. His teenage daughter was on birth control for those reasons, and she started having sex with boys at school behind his back. And who knows how many boys have been inside of her? Who knows how damaged she is? Who knows how much she's been passed around at school by now? Fucking idiot. Holy shit. Why does this keep happening?
And it's not really behind his back, because he should know, if he had any self-awareness, that he's enabling that.
Yeah.
But they're so asleep at the wheel of their own parenting that they don't even think about it. They just go back to their lives and don't even care. Oh, what is my daughter doing right now?
They don't care. They don't care.
It's like we said earlier, the Peter Pan thing. I just give her birth control, then I can go back to not thinking. Because SD men want to turn their brain off.
Yeah, they do.
when it should be on all the time. And they should be working to make sure the women in their life have the comfort and security to be able to turn their brains off. Instead, they're doing all the thinking for the men in their lives. And because they lack the judgment, they're not thinking properly anyway, even though they're forced into that position. So you're really leaving them with no options.
Yeah, there is no options. And then eventually, because they've had so many men inside of them, they end up getting divorced anyway, and then they end up being adulteresses anyway. And they keep racking up sin. They keep also destroying the men in their life. They destroy themselves. They destroy their own children, even to the point of killing their own children, which we saw with Lindsey Clancy. Great. And, but hey, birth control, hand out, it's fine, even though it destroys their beauty and basically sets them on the path of being sex-only category by and large, or the fact that it leads to long-term endocrine problems, which leads to conditions like really bad PMS or PMDD, cancer, like ovarian cancer, cervical cancer, breast cancer, neuroticism, depression, anxiety, early puberty, which is another thing that is so disgusting and horrible on girls. I feel so bad. Irregular cycles, anovulation, amenorrhea, which is they stop having periods entirely. Polycystic ovarian syndrome, which directly destroys their fertility, usually in conjunction between birth control and having high amounts of sugar. Acne, which makes them ugly and more likely to be in sex-only category. Early menopause. Endometriosis, which also makes it impossible for them to have children. Gut health problems. And when they have gut health problems, they end up having leaky gut syndrome or celiac or Crohn's, which, by the way, makes women all psycho. The kind of psycho where they're going to commit suicide or homicide, literally as a result of their gut flora breaking the blood-brain barrier and getting into their brain because of all this shit. Holy fuck. Why are you guys doing
There's
this?
another hypocrisy, too, with the Lindsey Clancy thing.
Yeah.
Like, whenever there's a mass shooting, the left will blame, like, guns. But then the right will come back and be like, no, it's actually the SSRIs. It's all these, pharmaceuticals that these young men are put on. So how come men are able to use that as an excuse, but then they get pissed off when women are supporting Lindsey Clancy, who claims to have been, on drugs as a result of
Wow.
all the... Again, it's men having no consideration for anything other than their own side. Again.
Yeah, again. There's no idealism.
Not that any of this is a justification, by the way. Like, I'm not making that argument.
But here's the thing, like, you see those cat moms, those dog moms who are like 40. I was actually talking to one of them recently, and she's like, oh yeah, I'm happy to be alone. And I'm like thinking to myself, no, you're actually not. You wish you were actually a mother, and we're actually going to be having grandchildren, but that's another story. But you can kid yourself all day long you want with that. But what she had to deal with at the hands of these subconscious developed men, at the hands of these schlubs, as a result of what she's, and she ended up having to be the breadwinner for one of these fucks, and it completely destroyed her life, stole all of her fertility, stole all of her youth, completely robbed her fucking blind. Okay? This happens consistently. Don't be robbing girls blind. Don't be doing that. There's actually some laws that are going out in relation to that. But the bottom line is that like fathers, especially subconscious developed fathers, they don't give a shit about their daughter's health, because health is what beauty is, and health is what helps them not be in sex-only category, according to the polygynous sexual strategy of men. It helps her be in commitment category, which is the woman that is married. Well, health is what's required to actually be able to achieve that to begin with. But instead, they focus their daughters on wealth and wealth generation. And here's the reality. Men want beautiful women because it's best for the healthiest children. They want to be able to have sex with a healthy bride to produce healthy children. That's the point. And that's all hardwired into men. But no, we got to give girls Yasmin and Yaz and HPV vaccines, which are all harmful for women. Look that up, okay? I'm not just like pulling that out of my ass.
They're talking about giving those to men now, the HPV vaccine.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they were talking
I saw a commercial for that recently.
Such bullshit. And doctors continue to push birth control because they're making lots of money on that. But then it gets even worse. Because sexuality is the only actual agency for women, then in comes social media, okay? And social media, women are looking at all these so-called beautiful girls, these AI deep fakes, as we talked about in the last episode, potentially, and they're comparing themselves, getting hella depressed on it, and then these girls are also hella sexualized. I actually had a conversation with CK about this recently, about bathing suits. And I told her, you know, it's like, oh my God, you know, or she was telling me about how, you know, women are showing a lot of skin in their two-piece bathing suits and all of you know, and how sometimes children are uncomfortable in that situation because they're just showing so much skin on the beach, etc. And I explained something to her. It's like, well, all the fat, ugly women are wearing the two-piece bathing suits because the more skin that they show, that's the only way they're going to get any attention because they're basically in the sex-only category to begin with. But I said, like, the biggest flex that a woman actually has as a healthy woman is when a woman looks like a fucking bombshell in a one-piece bathing suit. That is what separates the women from the girls. The ones that can actually pull that off. Imagine how great that woman's thigh gap is going to have to look, you know, to be able to pull something like that off. You see what I'm saying? Like, a woman being sexy in a one-piece bathing suit is like a huge fucking flex compared to all of the, because like who actually is attractive in a one-piece? Like, you can't. It's extremely rare, okay? That's like an interesting beauty standard if you actually think about it. But because of the over-sexualization of women, you have insanely high beauty standards. And this is fueled especially by OnlyFans, pornography, sex scenes in movies and TV and whatnot. I can't believe I sound like one of those purity culture preachers right now. Not trying to do that. But the bottom line is that women are comparing each other to each other all the time, and it creates a higher amount of pressure mentally for them to have to deal with this, to be able to uphold these beauty standards. Here and then as a result as well, they have to prove to themselves that they are beautiful, which means, and this happens with epiphany phase. Woman hits 26 years of age. She realizes that her looks can't compete with younger girls anymore. What does she do? She has sex with as many men as she possibly can, trying to see who she can still get before it's too late. And then all of a sudden, that's where a woman ends up getting STDs. From age 26 to 29 is when a woman gets the highest chances of getting sexually transmitted diseases. Literally then. Oh, but it's okay because she's on birth control. Fucking bullshit, dude. And here's another beauty standard. This is the 120 rule. The 120 rule is basically it's your height in centimeters minus your weight in kilograms, and it must be higher than 120 or else you're not considered skinny, because skinny is beauty.
Who came up with that rule?
I think that's a Korean rule, actually. And then there's the Chinese rule, which is the paper test. You get an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper, you hold it up to a woman, and if you can see her waist outside of that 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper, she is not beautiful, she's not skinny enough, basically, just on that. And they all hold these girls to that standard consistently.
Even though it's unhealthy and women are meant to have more fat on their body than men.
Exactly.
That's why a woman who's like 10% body fat is equivalent. Women
so
should not be
gross.
10% body fat. A woman who's 20% body fat is the equivalent of a man who's 10. Because women have an extra 10% that's like essential body fat that men don't have.
The absolute lowest body fat that I'd be okay with on a woman is 17.5%. And that's like the lowest that Victoria's Secret models would go. I say in general, target 20% where you can, and sometimes upwards of 22% based on your body morphism or your Kibbe body type is thing. So are you familiar with Kibbe body type?
No.
Okay, so Kibbe body type is when you look at women and they're classified on different body types, and there's a lot of them, but they're based on like 5 main categories. You have the dramatics, which are the tall, skinny girls, basically. You have the classics, and they're kind of just like best all around. They're kind of like very balanced individuals. So you have the dramatics, you have the classics, then you have the romantics. The romantics are the Sophie Rains of the world, basically. They're the ones with the really big thighs, the big hips, that kind of thing. Those are the romantic girls. And then you have the naturals, which are the very athletic women. Those are the women that are typically having those fucking 6-packs, and they look disgusting. I cannot deal with women with 6-packs. It's gross.
And their body fat percentage must be so low that they don't even have their period anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's how you know you're doing it wrong as a woman when you lose your period.
Yeah.
But it could be any number of things, because we just listed a whole bunch. Like, how are they going to know which it is, especially if they're on birth control? How are they going to be able to tell what the problem is? Because there's just so many things assaulting their fertility all at the same time.
Yeah. There's another group called the Gamines, but I think they're kind of fake news. I don't really agree with that. But the point is that like in the East, in Eastern culture, dramatics and classics are valued the most, and that's where you get the 120 rule. That's where you get the paper test. But in the West, it's actually the romantics and the naturals who are valued more. Okay, so and based on these body types, these are different body morphisms. okay, that come out, and it also comes out in gender archetype too, where you have the beauty maxing maidens, okay, and they're typically dramatics, okay, or you have the nurture maxing mothers. Well, they're typically romantics, okay, and then you have the upkeep maxing matrons. Well, they're typically naturals, and then you have the consorts, and they're the classics essentially.
And all that is based on personality type. So if you're watching, you want to know what that even means, then join Skool.
Visual typing. Yeah. You want to get on Skool? Go to skool.com/CS Joseph. Seriously, get into season 40 immediately. Understand your personality
And which
type.
course was the one that includes the archetypes that we just talked about?
Oh, that is season 40, part 2, also known as Type Grid 6. That has all that shit in there. Yeah, it's super important. So, but yeah, skinny is pretty. Skinny is ultimately what tells men, like, hey, yeah, I'm commitment material. I'm not sex only category, unless you want a completely weak ass schlub. And of course, the fat ugly bitch with the tattoos, single mother, is so happy that she got her weak ass schlub finally, because at least she has something instead of nothing, and she's settling for him, and he's actually settling for her. But he has this polygynous sexual strategy, which means, and he's still acting like, from safety net to safety net. So he'll see her as a safety net, and he'll jump to a different safety net at the first opportunity he can, because these subconscious developed schlubs are hypergamous with fucking safety nets, the same way that women are hypergamous based on trying to go up the ladder of men and monkey branch between men of higher levels. They're monkey branching between higher safety nets and shit. And that's what's happening consistently.
How gross is it, too, to have two people that are trying to monkey branch away from each other?
And they have children, which just makes that even worse. Don't fucking do that. So this ends up leading to other problems. Yo-yo dieting, anorexia, bulimia, which always leads to thyroid problems, by the way. Bloating, hair thinning. This comes from toxic makeup, toxic clothing, toxic food. Don't you folks ever eat organic non-GMO? Oh, no, but we need to save money. Dude, I would rather live in a fucking tent forever than eat toxic food. I would rather be homeless.
And it's not,
than eat toxic
they're not
food.
Saving money by getting the slop either, because you're going to pay for it with your health and your medical bills later in life.
Yes.
So it's non-negotiable. Stop eating slop. It doesn't matter how expensive it is.
Yeah, but these women don't know the difference because they're making their decisions based on their emotions. And then they also have to deal with the other crabs in the bucket women that they go to work with, and they're putting all the Hershey's Kisses out in the front in the fucking break room, and they're pressuring each other to get fat with each other because they can't handle another woman being skinnier than them. Because they know they're all a bunch of fucking female losers.
The only exception to this is for men, like Floodsport. He's buying all this organic stuff, but he's not even paying his rent.
Yeah, he's not even paying.
So if you're a man, you have to at least have that covered.
That's why I would
first.
rather live in a tent.
You can't be buying organic GMO. You can't be buying all that if you're a burden on another man.
Exactly.
So get that squared away first. Live out of your car if you have to.
Exactly.
You have that grill, right, that can be used in your car?
Yeah.
You cooked on it last night.
I did.
It's
awesome.
just as good.
Yeah, I love that grill. Why would I need to have one of those big-ass fucking Black & Decker barbecues when I could just have my fucking mobile grill that I have when I live out of my fucking
You're better
car?
off whipping that out in your car, sleeping in the Walmart parking lot, getting fresh food as a man, than living with your brother in an overpriced apartment where you don't pay rent and you're just spending all of your money on the fanciest food.
And your mother has to bail you out and take over the lease because you're that much of a fucking loser. Great. Oh, that's fantastic. Toxic beauty products also does it. Microplastics and everything. Prenatal vitamins in general are toxic. Sugar destroys women. And guess what? Insulin resistance causes PCOS, which is loss of fertility. Do you honestly think in a monogamous society a man is going to be loyal to you and be committed to you, especially if he doesn't give a shit about the Bible and whatnot? Because if he gave a shit about the Bible, he could actually be a polygynist, but if he doesn't give a shit about the Bible, he's probably going to be monogamous, which means he's probably going to divorce your ass because you can't have a child. Is your lack of fertility? But you can't have fertility because you were forced to be set up for failure because you had to get a career, because that's what your dad did, because, you as his daughter was just another safety net that he was cultivating for himself. Wow. That's child abuse, folks. You want to act like sending girls to fucking college is not child abuse? It's fucking child abuse. But society is so fucking backwards. And here's the thing. What ends up happening is subconsciously developed society, including pharmaceutical companies, all these all these clothing or whatever, they literally are creating insecurity in women, especially through social media, and then they sell them the toxic solution, which then sets them back even more. Okay? And so as a result of this, women do not have healthy female friends. So female space itself is completely destroyed. at this point. They're constantly, and this is why it's so easy. You can be a grifter online. You can start up a business focusing on women's beauty, and you'll immediately make sales by default. Immediately. Because people are just that fucking desperate. Because of just how bad this toxic society is. Because of these fucking boomers who also have their boomerism is passed on to their Gen X children and the millennial children and now their Gen Z children and the Alpha generation children. All these people that are alive are having to deal with this shit because they're more focused on their safety nets instead of actually realizing the true safety net, which is health and fitness.
And it's so bad that it's even like female beauty standards are now infecting the men too with looks maxing.
Oh God!
Like how disgusting is that?
Like clavicular, like it's so. It's
how could
so
you ever
fucking
focus
terrible.
on your male burden of performance when you're focusing on being beautiful as a man?
Oh yeah, so that girl Lillian Snyder that clavicular just abuses consistently, she's still UD.
She is?
She is, yeah.
No
still.
way.
Yeah, she's somehow been able to keep some semblance of her femininity somehow. And I'm just like, dude, like I wish her father would just show up with a fucking bat. That fuck.
Well, he might enjoy that. That's bone smashing.
Oh, bone smashing. Yes.
You might thank him for that.
We should, maybe he needs to have a bone smashing session booked with her father. Holy shit. But her father's likely some fucking subconscious developed schlub that did this to his daughter to begin with anyway and set her up for failure. Like, there's no healthy female friends, and women don't even know who to solicit advice from other women because they're all fucked. They're all fucked over. Like, how can you fucking deal with this? And so, and then as a result, inevitably, women end up being infertile. And they're also the ones who are blamed for being infertile, even though about 50% of the time, it's also it's the man's fault. But here's the thing, though. Like, what people don't realize, like, here's an example. There's a compound called aromatase, okay? It's a hormone. It's produced by body fat, okay? What it does is that it gets in the liver, and it takes your testosterone, and it turns it into estrogen, okay? So a lot of people talk about how men, when they get older, their testosterone declines. Wrong, it doesn't. Testosterone does not decline. That's actually a myth. What it is aromatase going up because their body fat percentage is going up as they get older. That's actually what it is. And so it's making it look like their testosterone is declining with age. No, it's not. The aromatase is going up. This is why we have aromatase inhibitors, which is found in green tea. It's also found in nicotine, not cigarette, not vaping. Vaping has propylene glycol. No, that's estrogenic. It's a xenoestrogen. Same thing goes with anything you find in a fucking cigarette. Okay, nicotine in cigars, especially imported cigars, okay, and pipe tobacco that's not an aromatic pipe tobacco, that nicotine has a very high aromatase inhibitor and can actually reduce your aromatase. You can actually get a pharmaceutical called anastrozole, and anastrozole is an aromatase inhibitor, and that prevents your testosterone from being turned into estrogen, and men benefit from that all the fucking time. So you have those aromatase inhibitors, you can get around those big issues. But here's the thing, if men were on aromatase inhibitors, guess what? Their sperm would actually be higher quality, and then they actually would not be, contributing to like miscarriage of children, for example. Okay. Oh, by the way, alcohol does this. Alcohol consumption actually harms the genetic integrity of your sperm anyway as a man. So stop drinking. Okay, that's another issue. Okay, but infertility is often blamed by women. Now, when women should be blamed for infertility, probably never, because their father is the problem. Okay, let's be honest. Society is the problem. This toxic society is the problem. But how do they overcome? Well, they have to completely change their life. They have to not wear the toxic clothes, not have the toxic mechanicals, not have the toxic body wash, not have the toxic food, not have the toxic light, not have the toxic anything. Wait a minute. Does a career woman have any time to accomplish any of that? No, she doesn't. So the career women are basically destined to become the fat, ugly, tattooed bitches anyway, who are stuck in sex-only category anyway, because it's only a man, the top 5% of men, who actually can produce the environment where she doesn't have to work, so that all she does is focus on that. Oh, wait, that's exactly what my wife does. Any women in my life, if they are my wives, that is literally how it is. You don't have to fucking work, and you get to preserve your femininity and your beauty. Okay? And raise children, have fun, and just do that. And that's all you have to think about. You don't have to think about anything else. I handle everything else. as it should be, okay? So fuck this shit. But these career women, they don't even have that. These career women get consistently fucked over. And then they're all of a sudden infertile, and then they're getting blamed for it. Great. Oh, that's just great. You know? And like, if a woman's got PCOS, you know, like, or if a woman has endometriosis, they're not going to be able to get pregnant because PCOS is like, okay, the eggs are like lower quality, but then, you know, they could have high quality eggs but have endometriosis, so then that they can never get implantation, so it doesn't even work either. So there's multiple ways, many ways that a woman's fertility can just be completely and totally screwed, and it's a big fucking problem. They shouldn't be blamed for it. And as a result of all this, because, you know, and women will shit on each other for being infertile. They'll judge each other for being infertile, consistent. They'll judge each other for being fat, ugly bitches. Then even to the point of making sure that they eat chocolate with each other, you know, or eat things that they shouldn't eat, and they'll do crabs in the bucket. Well, this leads to more body shaming. 50% of women, especially when they're like really, really young, and like high school age, they're having an eating disorder. That's a problem. And then not only that, they still have to deal with the physical and hormonal changes that comes with being a woman anyway. And then they're expected to bring that into the job and with their careers.
And they get no solutions for any of these problems from the men in their lives. So what do they resort to? The fat acceptance movement.
The fat acceptance.
It's like, I'm not getting any solutions for men, and I'm just left with this misery. So the least I can do is try to cope and be somehow happy about a miserable situation.
Which is also going to kill them eventually. Like,
well, it's going to hollow out their bones.
Yeah.
Especially if they're not eating enough like protein and stuff while they're on it.
That's terrible. That's absolutely terrible. It gets even worse because, like, when you look at female space, the subconscious developed women are, as you said, constantly projecting their preferences. So, you know, and then like they set these women up for failure even more because it's like, hey, you know, here's what I eat, or here's the products I use, or here's the kind of man that would be good for you, and they're all emotionally explosive, thinking that their female judgment is so superior, when in reality it's actually making them fail even more. So the women can't even get support from fellow women at all. They don't get support from anyone. Basically, women are trapped and women are alone in this world. Completely. And only the top 5% of men are capable of rescuing them. Guess what that means? Oh, wait, that's a prophecy in the Bible. Isaiah chapter 4, verse 1, which talks about how women who are going to go, like 7 women go up to a man. It's an example. 7 women will go up to a man and be like, hey, take away our reproach, which means make us mothers, okay? Make us mothers. We will take care, we will get our own food, and we'll get our own clothing. You don't have to take care of us. Your male burden of performance, you don't have to provide anything for us. We will self-provide. Those are career women. 7 career women go up to a man, please make me a mom. Okay? Like, that's coming. Okay? That's kind of already here. That prophecy is coming true, and that's a polygynous prophecy as well. But that's how desperate these women are going to get. And society is going to get even more desperate because all of these things is leading to a declining birth rate, especially when you give consideration to abortion. Because abortion is also coming from the same fucking concept, women to being pressured to abort. It's coming from the same concept as the SD men who care about their comfies. Oh, I can't have a child, man, you know, because like that would get in the way of my comfies, so you have to abort that child. Fucker. We actually had a fuck like that in the Ego Hackers Discord server. And he got this girl on the server to fly out to him. He had sex with her one time. She got pregnant, and he was hella demanding that she abort the child. And I called her. I'm like, no, you ain't aborting that child. And she ended up having that child, and then she ended up getting married to some veteran who ended up giving her another child, and they're fine. But she told me, she called me one day, and she thanked me for encouraging her not to abort that child, even though that fucker was consistently going out of his way to make her abort that child. And that child is super cute and a great child, and it's absolutely fucking terrible. And as a result of this bullshit, of this pressure, 1/3 of Generation Z is basically being completely killed off. Not only that, women are consistently having to do plastic surgery. And now, guess what? The breast implants, they don't make breast implants like they used to, you know, and they're having to deal with the toxicity, and they have to get resurgery. And now I'm seeing this trend, for example, on Instagram of women having their implants taken out, and they're trying to be small-breasted again, especially when there's statistics coming out saying that the more richer and successful men out there want women with smaller breasts, whereas the men with the lower IQ and lower earning rate want the women with bigger breasts. Oh, you see what I'm saying? And now there's this whole fucking phenomenon going on, and it's just such bullshit. So SE men led to the creation of this. And as a result, women in general are just fat, ugly, and unhealthy burdens. And the problem is that they still remain sex objects because sexuality is their only fucking agency. Which means they're basically forced, as a result of their poor health and fitness, to be in sex-only category everywhere, all the time.
And they're set up for that from the moment they get their first period.
Yep.
And they're put on birth control.
Yep.
That's like the very first step in that direction, and no one cares.
No one gives a shit. No one fucking cares. You know, like, what can women do? Hope to God they can get one of the 4%, one of the top men. But like those top men, they want the young, healthy virgins. They don't want that. They want the women worth millions of dollars because they still have their fucking virginity. That's what they want. So
I get these men complaining about hypergamy too, like, oh, the women are just going for the top guys and not me. Like, they need to change that. Like, the women need to lower their standards. It's like, how about rather than women lower their standards, you raise yourself up first, because it's only going to work that way anyway.
Exactly, it is only going to work. And think about it this way, like
the top 5% should really be the top 20, then the top 30, then the top 40 who get into that category. The reason it's so rare is because so many men are pathetic.
Oh yeah.
Like, it shouldn't be this rare to be the top 4%. It should be a much wider category.
Much wider.
And women shouldn't have to lower their standards.
It should be 25%.
I'm glad that women don't lower their standards, because
me too.
That's probably only thing keeping the gene pool somewhat okay with all the stuff going on.
Because there's like two classes of people coming. There's like studies about this, and there's a lot of documentaries about this, about how eventually you're going to see people, it's going to be like two classes of people, the very, very degenerate, physically degenerate versus the not physically degenerate. And it's going to be very easy to see. And it's going to be absolutely disgusting and a horrible world that's in our future. So what would I recommend women do if they find themselves in this situation where they've been completely destroyed by their fathers and by SG society? Honestly, lean into Isaiah chapter 4:1. Chapter 4, verse 1. Lean into that prophecy. Lean into it. Make that prophecy come true. Like, literally, go get your girlfriends that you're all very similar with, and go find a guy that you all agree that you like, and then, like, basically get with him. All of you marry him at the same time. Like, literally. I don't, if he's in the top 4%, just like bring 7 women to him and be like, okay, we'll all be your wives. We're already crewing him, and give us some children. Like, I'm not kidding. Like, that, in my opinion, that is like the only actual solution for a woman that it's too late for at that point. That is the only solution. Because at least when they come together as a group to that man, they've been able to somewhat raise their value a little bit in that regard, because he gets his polygynous sexual strategy. There's some sexual variety there, and at least he's getting something of value instead of something that is completely and utterly a burden. And from a polygynous perspective, we're more likely to actually treat him well as a group than they are as monogamous individuals anyway, because of their high body counts, because of all of their health problems, because of all the toxicity and all this bullshit. Like, that, in my opinion, is for these women that are lost, that have had this life, basically, that we've said, they've had their lives ruined. That's basically their only shot.
And even that, there's a time limit for that too, because there is a point where there's just nothing you can do.
Exactly. Here's the other thing, like women need to understand a concept called fasting and like actually do it. There's a content creator out there. He does something, it's like the Panda Man. He's got the Black Panda or the Rolling 48s. He works with a lot of women, helping them use fasting in a therapeutic way to be able to get it. Because like, I've seen so many women all the time, like they're going to the gym, they're doing the reps, you know, they're getting real big or whatever, but they're actually harming their beauty, increasing their cortisol, and making everything worse, versus the women who actually practice, you know, fasting and NEAT and also walking and those things, and they're not really that exercise intensive, and they're actually like, their body fat is dropping, and they're actually able to take control of their body doing it that way, and then focusing on eating the healthiest possible foods and removing all the toxins, and they can actually restore their beauty a lot faster than just going to the gym and listening to the fucking the gym bros for their fucking advice, or the fucking fitness trainer, because they're a bunch of dumbasses. They're better off that way. You know, men all the time oftentimes complain. It's like, oh, you know, if a woman just starts fasting, then she'll get her beauty back. It's not how it works for a man. I'm like, get over it. That's how it's supposed to be. Like, holy shit. Like, go get some fucking muscle. It's not hard. Like, But oftentimes these women just don't, they're just not even aware of that. And they end up investing in the wrong things, especially like when it comes to plastic surgery or all of these, so-called solutions that they find online, but it's not really actually going to help them. It's just so terrible. But yeah, like the solution to this problem, if their woman is in a bad situation, Isaiah 4:1. If you're a woman in a good situation, you need to work hard to protect yourself and preserve. And that's what my wife did. She preserved, even to the point of being disobedient to her parents. Because she's like, I'm just going to sit here and pretend to study and just do what I want anyway. Because I don't want to be a career woman. She many times told her parents, look, I want to be a mom. I want to have lots of children, right? I want to be beautiful. Those things are more important. But, that's
they wanted to send her down a path that would lead to the opposite of those things.
Yeah, like, here's another way of looking at it. Like, masculinity is about the big things of life. Femininity is about the little things in life. The little things. Well, the little things are actually far more important than the big things. The little things, oh wait, that's self-actualization. The big things, oh, that's basic needs. The opposite of what Floodsport is doing, because, he has to act like a woman to his brother and do the dishes and, be all Mr. Domestic and shit, And, congratulations, Floodsport. He completely manipulated his brother and manipulated his mother into being his safety net, and he doesn't have to do a goddamn thing.
Yeah, he attached himself back to mommy's teat yet again at the age of, 31, 32?
31, wow. It's unbelievable.
But, the only time he took a break from it was to attach to his brother, which is even more disgusting.
It's so bare.
At no point has he ever been self-sufficient from the age of, 18 onwards, at all. He's in his 30s. Will he ever at this point? I don't know.
Probably not.
Maybe when his parents die and he has to.
So,
what's he going to do then when there's no one to parasite off of?
I think the only thing that could get him in a better place is either war or prison or something like that to get his neural pathways in the right place. And it's going to take time for it to build, because he's got to be focused put in a situation where he has to survive every single fucking day on his own, and that's literally the only choice for the matter. So,
well, I'm at the point where I don't even think he deserves to survive.
Yeah,
he's caused so much harm and damage in like everyone's life.
Yeah, I imagine, if we're going to go Old Testament on this, there'd be some severe penalties for that kind of shit. So, anyway, folks, yes, women deserve more, because that's how fucking bad they have it, especially when it comes to health and fitness, which is the core thing that a woman needs in order to assert her value, to guarantee that she is worth being committed to by a man. Because remember, men will always have the power over women forever. Why? Because women control access to sexuality, but they don't control access to commitment. Men control access to commitment. And because women are the more vulnerable gender, men will always be in power, and there's nothing you can do to change that. So you need to make sure that you are developing in your childhood. Of course, no child is watching this. And then preserve your beauty forever. Forever. It's part of your female burden of performance, because otherwise you're not going to be committed. You're just going to be run through by an army of men. Holy shit. So you don't want that. Anyway, folks, thanks for watching and listening. I'll see you guys in the next episode.